Adjusting our positional needs and our depth chart, that's the GM's job, and that's every day but draft day. Draft day, you take the best player on the board, every time. I don't care if we got 20 centers. If the next name's a center, we're taking a center. You got 18 goalies, the next name's a goalie, we're taking the goalie. So. Play the way we're going to play. I think you need some pick and shovel men, and we're looking for that type of player here.
Brian Burke has set his sights on stocking the cupboard as he heads into Montreal, home of this year's entry draft. There is work to be done upon arrival, and Brian gets down to business, addressing his scouting staff, running through what he thinks could play out in the first round.
Just run through what I've heard so far, what we can discern anyway. You know, the Islanders have been adamant they're picking, and I believe Snowy. Second pick, Vancouver's made a major effort to get the second pick out of Tampa Bay. We heard they offered, again, this all second hand, so we don't know if it's true. We heard they offered Burrows, Bieksa, and their own pick. Those are two pretty good players. I talked to Lawton again this morning and said, is there a deal there for us? And involving the seventh pick, and he said no unless Luke Schenn's in the deal, and we're not doing that. You know, I told you guys you did a great job finding him last year. I think he's going to be our captain someday, and we're not moving him. To me, that's just ego. That's just me wanting to be the star of the draft, and I'm not interested in that. If it doesn't make us better, I don't think we get dramatically better trading a kid who wants to be a Leaf, loves it there, and like I say, probably end up learning the sea. You got a brand new general manager in Colorado, and he's got the third pick overall, and you know he wants to pick, and his scouts want to pick, but he's got cap issues, so he's got to look at different things, and now with Boston threw a legitimate frontline player at him, they got to look at that. I mean, they had a terrible year. They got to look at that. Then you get to 4, you'd have to think that Atlanta would look at immediate help for that pick. You'd have to think that they've got. It's a year where you guess they have to make some positive movement. They have to. You guess. That should be a team that should be coming after Thomas Kaberle hard with that pick, in my opinion. And then you're at 5, and I think Dean Lombardi has a team. I think he's put together a really good young team, and I think they're one player away. And I think it's a top defenseman. And I talked to him this morning. I said, I don't know why you're not breaking down my door for Thomas Kaberle. That's all you need. And 6 is Phoenix. Talked to Donnie Maloney at length, and that doesn't help us much. 6 doesn't get us Schenn, and it doesn't help us get. It helps us leapfrog a little bit. Maybe they can get to 6. Maybe it's easier to get to 4 than. But unless we can get Tavares out of this, or we can get Braden Schenn, then I think we just sit tight, keep the 2 seconds, and pick. We've told the teams right below us. We've told Dallas, Ottawa. Those teams, Edmonton right below us, we told them all that if we get to 7 and you guys tell me that there's 3 names there or 2 names there and we can move down and still get a guy we want, that we'll trade down. But you remember, you can't take a timeout in the first round. If you take a timeout, you got to pick. You can't trade the pick. So if we call timeout, we're picking a player. So I've talked to all 3 teams, and we're supposed to talk later about wiring in what they would give if it gets to 7. And we want to move down 1. I told it would be at least a 3rd round pick, probably next year, a 3rd round pick. But if we could stockpile a couple of 3rds and still get a guy we want, we would do that, I think. So, we'll see if that gets us where on who's sitting there. Is Kadri or Cassian or Cowan, whoever you guys want, the Russian kid. So that's what we got. Any questions, or anyone have any other information about it?
So you think we got a 3rd by moving down?
Well, I wouldn't do it for less than that. I mean, to move down, there's no risk to it, because they would have to commit to take that player. Yeah. Like what we did when we did the Pronger deal, San Jose insisted that they get Kozlov at 6, the big Kozlov, not the little one. And we had to agree in writing in the trade document that if he wasn't there at number 6 overall, we had to give up a 1st-round pick the following year. And that's actually how Florida blackmailed us for a second. Florida said they were going to pick out a sequence because they knew we'd put the insurance on. There'd been a leak, not from our team, San Jose leaked that insurance on it. And Bobby Clark, he's no dummy. He came and said, okay, we're going to take Kozlov, unless you give us a second. So we actually got blackmail out of a second-round pick in that transaction. But you can make it ironclad that they got to tell us who they're going to take, and they take that player, or else we get a first next year. So there won't be any screwing around with it. It's not. There's no risk to it. Like if they say, let's say that we get there and we want Kadri, and Dallas is picking right behind us. They say we want Colin. Okay, you can move up and take Colin. We take a third next year, and then we move down. Then we go right to the next team and see if we can do it again. Shuffle down, like, kind of like a crab going sideways, but always picking up a pick. And it might be the team right below us say, we don't care. There's 3 guys there we like, so we're not going to give you anything, and then we'll just pick.
Kadri, I would like to get at 7 and try to protect him and get him at 8. So if you can't, take Kadri at 7, and maybe the other guy would be Cassie. If we go in the direct order of 1 through 6, maybe try to trade down and get Cassie.
Well, it's a good group. Like at 7, that's a pretty good group. I think we're going to get a good player. Just a question of what you think is the best option. And like I say, the moving down thing, we'll try it. It may not work, but I floated it with Edmonton this morning, and they said that seemed to work. The concept seemed to work for them. I said, you got to tell me who you're going to take, and you got to tell me I won't do it for less than a third. So we're going to talk later. And if he says no, then we'll just pick.